On a September morning in 2025, loud sirens sounded over Warsaw, Poland. NATO planes quickly flew into the sky. Their mission was to stop many Russian drones that were flying illegally over Polish land. This was the first time since 2022 that a NATO country had fired weapons, shooting down several unmanned aircraft that had flown deep into NATO airspace. After this, something very important happened. Poland used Article 4 of the NATO treaty. This meant Poland asked other NATO countries to talk urgently about the danger. Many people now believe this was a very serious event. It was the biggest danger between the East and West since the Cuban Missile Crisis. This was not an accident. Other Russian planes flew into Estonian airspace. Drones caused problems at big airports in Denmark and Norway. Mysterious flying objects appeared near military bases in Nordic countries. This showed a clear plan. Russia was testing NATO's defenses and how strong the alliance members were together. The Russian leader, Vladimir Putin, was doing this after a meeting with former President Donald Trump in August 2025 in Alaska. So, why is Russia doing these things now? And is NATO ready for this new type of fighting? This war is different. It mixes old military actions with cyber attacks, secret acts of damage, and false information. It tries to make the line between peace and conflict unclear. Russia wants to see how NATO will react to these acts. This chapter will ask why this is happening and if NATO can deal with this new and complex challenge. 2. Why Russia attacks. Russia launched attacks in September 2025. The timing of these actions was very important. It happened shortly after President Donald Trump met with Russia's leader, Vladimir Putin, in Alaska in August of that year. Putin might have thought that Western countries were divided and unsure. This could have seemed like a good chance for Russia to act boldly without causing a strong, united reaction from NATO. Russia's attacks had clear goals. One main goal was to test NATO's defenses. Russia wanted to see how ready and able NATO members were to protect their own territories. They watched closely to see how quickly NATO countries could find and respond to the threats. This was a way to find any weak spots in NATO's protection systems, like air defense. Another key goal was to test the unity among NATO's members. The alliance has 32 countries. Russia aimed to create disagreements and delays in their decision-making process. If NATO countries argued or acted slowly in their response, it would make the alliance seem less strong and less committed to its shared defense agreements. This could weaken trust between member states. A very important objective was to make NATO countries shift their attention and resources. Russia wanted these nations to focus on defending their own lands instead of helping Ukraine. For example, if European countries had to use their valuable air defense systems to protect their own cities from new threats, they could not send those systems to Ukraine. Estonian Defense Minister Hanno Pevkur explained this idea, stating that Russia was trying to tear us out from Ukraine. This strategy aimed to reduce the military and financial support Ukraine was receiving. These attacks also served as a way for Russia to show its strength and power. Experts call this coercive signaling. It means Russia was sending a clear, forceful message to NATO and the world, but without starting a full-scale war. By sending drones or making air incursions, Russia wanted to prove that it could strike close to or even inside NATO territory. This demonstrated Russia's reach and willingness to challenge the alliance. Russia aimed to create doubts about NATO's ability to protect all its members equally and quickly. This strategy was designed to weaken overall support for Ukraine and demonstrate Russia's significant influence on the international stage, showing that they could push boundaries when they desired. 3. New kinds of war. Russia's approach to warfare has changed a lot since 2014. In the past, its hybrid actions, like those involving little green men in Crimea, were often hidden. Now, Russia uses a more direct but still unclear form of war. This new way of fighting mixes traditional military ideas with computer attacks, sabotage, and false information. It blurs the lines between being at peace and being at war, trying to cause problems without starting a full open conflict. The number of these hybrid attacks against Europe has grown quickly. Between 2022 and 2023, recorded attacks increased 4 times. Then, in 2024, they tripled again compared to the year before. Russia now targets many important things. These include critical power stations, transportation hubs, and internet systems. The methods range from planting explosives and using simple tools to carrying out very complex cyber attacks. These actions aim to destabilize countries and create fear. A worrying part of this strategy is how Russia finds people to help. It recruits ordinary, untrained people online, often through social media. These individuals are then asked to carry out dangerous tasks. This might involve starting fires near homes or businesses, or placing explosive devices. For example, a large fire that destroyed more than 1,400 shops in a Warsaw shopping center was strongly linked to Russian intelligence. This shows how everyday locations can become targets in this new kind of conflict. The Baltic Sea is a key area for Russia's hybrid operations. Russia is believed to use a shadow fleet of ships to damage vital infrastructure underwater. In August 2025, Finnish authorities accused the captain of a tanker thought to be part of this fleet of cutting 5 undersea cables in the Gulf of Finland. This caused damage worth many millions of euros. Even more, a Russian surveillance ship named Yantar spent months secretly mapping Europe's crucial underwater infrastructure. This includes important cables that carry internet traffic and energy. Western officials warned that this vessel can listen to military communications, cut internet cables, and even place explosives to be used later. Such actions could turn the lights out and turn off our energy and communication systems, showing the silent but serious dangers of this modern warfare. 4. NATO's answer. Following the attacks, NATO moved quickly. The alliance started a military plan called Operation Eastern Sentry. This response marked a significant change for NATO. It brought many different countries together to strengthen defenses along the eastern part of the alliance. This was a multinational effort, meaning many nations worked as one instead of each country acting alone. Many NATO member countries sent military help. France contributed 3 Rafale fighter jets. Germany deployed 4 Eurofighter jets. Britain sent its Typhoon jets. Denmark provided F-16 fighter planes and a frigate, which is a type of warship. Italy offered important intelligence information using its special AWACS aircraft. The main goal of Operation Eastern Sentry was to create one connected defense system. This system would stretch across the entire eastern flank, from the North Sea down to the Black Sea, making it a unified shield. Before Eastern Sentry, NATO had already launched another successful mission called Baltic Sentry. This operation was designed to protect vital undersea communication cables in the Baltic Sea. Russia had been accused of trying to damage these cables. Since Baltic Sentry began, there have been no new attacks on this important infrastructure. This success gave NATO leaders confidence. They hoped that the increased military presence from Eastern Sentry would make Russia think twice before trying to test the alliance again. It aimed to deter future aggressive actions. However, this swift response also highlighted a challenge for NATO. The alliance often found itself reacting to dangers after they had already happened. It was difficult for NATO to take warning signs and turn them into a clear plan of action before an attack. This meant Russia could often choose when and where to strike first. NATO then had to manage the crisis. This showed that NATO needed to improve its ability to act proactively, not just reactively, to new kinds of threats. To further boost its defenses, NATO sent more troops and tanks to its eastern borders. The number of multinational battle groups in the region was doubled, growing from 4 to 8. These groups of soldiers were also made larger, expanding to brigade-size units. Additionally, a new NATO force model was created. This model was designed to have a bigger pool of forces ready to respond at any time. For instance, Lithuania now hosts Germany's newly formed permanent 45th Panzer Brigade. This showed NATO's strong commitment to protecting its eastern members. Still, it raised questions about whether traditional military buildups were enough for the new, less visible hybrid threats NATO faced. The low cost of Russian drone attacks compared to the high cost of intercepting them remained a concern. 5. NATO's weak spots. NATO faces big challenges when dealing with new kinds of attacks. These hybrid attacks mix military actions with things like cyber attacks or sabotage. It is hard to know when such an attack is serious enough to trigger a military response. NATO's main rule for defense is called Article 5. It says if one member country is attacked, all other members must help. But Article 5 was made for clear military threats, like tanks crossing borders. With hybrid attacks, it is often unclear if they are a true armed attack. If a country's computer systems are attacked, it is hard to say if that is enough to start Article 5. NATO has said that hybrid attacks could trigger Article 5, but the exact moment is not clear. This vagueness lets enemies operate in a gray zone without fear of a full NATO response. Getting all 32 NATO member countries to agree on a response is also very slow. This is a big problem when facing fast hybrid threats. Different countries have different ideas about danger. What Estonia sees as a serious threat, a country like Spain might see as a small problem. These differences can create chances for enemies to divide NATO. One of the biggest worries is about the United States' commitment to European safety. President Donald Trump has made comments that make some allies uncertain. At the June 2025 NATO summit, when asked about Article 5, he said it depends on your definition. He also noted there are numerous interpretations of this rule. This makes NATO members wonder if the U.S. would truly defend them if attacked. This doubt can weaken NATO's power to stop attacks. European officials have said they cannot fully trust or rely on the United States anymore. Finally, NATO does not always have the right technology for new threats. Its air defense systems were built for big planes and missiles. They are not good at stopping many small, cheap drones. These drones cost only a few $1,000s, but shooting them down with NATO systems can cost millions. This makes it cheaper for an attacker to cause problems, and many cheap drones could overwhelm expensive defenses. 6. Different dangers for different places. The dangers from Russia were not the same for every NATO country. For places on the eastern side, like Poland and the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, the threat was very direct. These countries are close to Russia and have a history of being controlled by outside powers. They worked hard to protect themselves, building strong defenses and sharing information. For example, Lithuania even welcomed a German army brigade to its land to help with defense. Russia also tried to create problems inside these eastern countries. In places like Estonia, many people speak Russian. Russia used this to spread false information. It tried to make these Russian-speaking people feel less loyal to their own country and more connected to Russia. This caused divisions and made unity harder for these nations, making them vulnerable from within. New threats also appeared for Nordic countries like Finland and Sweden. After they joined NATO, Russia saw them as new targets for its actions. Drones were seen near airports in Denmark and Norway, disrupting daily life. This showed that Russia could reach many parts of Europe with its hybrid attacks, not just the countries on the eastern border, proving a wider reach for its operations. Bigger countries like the United Kingdom and Germany also faced dangers. The UK was a main target because it strongly supported Ukraine and had good intelligence abilities. Russian agents were linked to fires in London, and a Russian ship was seen near important undersea cables off the British coast. Germany, as Europe's largest economy, was also a target for disruption. Russia aimed to create problems in these countries to weaken NATO from within and divide its members. However, not all NATO members saw the danger in the same way. There were differences between countries in the North and the South. Southern European nations generally felt less direct pressure from Russia. For example, Spain was slow to increase its defense spending to the new 5% target, unlike many northern members. These different views showed that NATO members did not always agree on how much of a threat Russia was, or how much money they should spend to protect against it. This could make it harder for the alliance to act as one strong team against Russia's changing attacks. 7. The future of fighting. The world of fighting is changing fast. For the future, new kinds of attacks will become common. One big challenge is cheap drones. These small flying machines cost little money to make, but they can force countries to use very expensive defense systems. Imagine a drone that costs only $500. To stop it, a country might need to fire a missile worth $3 million. This is a very bad trade for the country defending itself. Many cheap drones, flying together in a swarm, can even overwhelm strong and expensive defenses. It is hard for systems built for big airplanes to stop so many small, fast objects. This means attackers can cause damage without spending much money. Another growing danger is cyber attacks. These are attacks using computers and the Internet. They can target important systems like power grids, which bring electricity to homes and businesses. If a power grid stops working, lights go out and heating systems fail. Banks can also be attacked, stopping money from moving or deleting records. Our modern world relies on computers for almost everything, from transportation to healthcare. So a large cyber attack can cause big, widespread problems for many people at once. NATO is working on better ways to defend against these invisible threats. In the future, even newer technologies will bring more dangers. Artificial intelligence, or AI, can create fake information, like fake videos or news stories that look very real. This can trick people, create confusion, and make societies less stable. Also, fighting might move to space. Attacks on satellites can stop GPS from working, which is vital for navigation. They can also cut off important communications for armies and even for phones and internet services. Russia has already shown it can develop anti-satellite capabilities, which could blind NATO's eyes and ears in a crisis. Economic fighting is also a key part of future conflicts. Russia has used its power over energy. It can stop gas or oil supplies to other countries to pressure them. This can make life hard for people during winter and hurt economies. Another threat is to vital undersea cables. These cables carry almost all of the world's internet traffic, phone calls, and financial transactions. If they are cut, entire countries can be cut off from global communication and money systems within hours. Old ships, sometimes called shadow fleets, are used for these risky actions. They can also cause huge oil spills, damaging marine life and coastal areas. These future ways of fighting show that dangers are not always about soldiers and tanks, but about attacks on everyday life. 8. What happens next? The recent events have shown everyone a new kind of world. It is a time of long, persistent conflict. This is not a full war with armies clashing, but it is also not a time of true peace. This new reality makes the lines between fighting and calm very unclear. Russia will likely continue to test the West in this way for many years, even decades. It uses hidden attacks that are hard to see and prove. NATO must become much stronger against these new and different dangers. One important step is to make decisions faster. When hidden attacks happen, quick action is needed. The current way, where all 32 countries must agree, can be too slow. NATO also needs to put money into new technology. For example, better systems to stop drone swarms are very important. These drones are cheap for Russia, but expensive for NATO to stop. New ways to protect computer networks from cyber attacks are also key. These attacks can stop power, banks, and transport. Countries should work closer to buy defense equipment together. They also need to have plans to share energy and goods if one country has problems. NATO also needs to find ways to make hybrid attacks more costly for Russia. This is called hybrid deterrence. Another important step is to make societies stronger against lies and false information. Russia uses these stories to cause trouble and divide people. Teaching people to understand media well is very important. Governments need to be open and always tell the truth. This helps stop bad information from spreading and making people confused. People need to trust their leaders and each other. The future of democracy is seriously at risk. If Russia's hidden attacks work, it will show that countries can attack without a full war. This could make democracy weaker everywhere. Authoritarian countries might copy these methods. This could change how all countries act together. It could even change the world order. This is a very long fight. It will test how strong and determined countries in the West truly are. It will ask if open societies can stay strong against many hidden attacks. It will also ask if people can stay united when faced with long challenges. This fight will last for a long time and needs a steady effort. What do you think is the single most important thing NATO must do to win this long fight?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.